What's going on, it's the Rap Nerd, and just something quick. It's the 7-year anniversary of Man of Steel, one of my favorite comic book movies of all time, and one of my favorite movies of all time. I just kind of want to reflect on it and tell you guys why I hold it to such a high standard. Okay, so again, it's 7 years ago Man of Steel dropped, and before this movie released, I was just an avid film watcher. I was just a fanatic in the audience standpoint. I watch every movie I can. I always prefer movies over TV shows. I go to theaters. Love films. But again, I just used to watch them from like an entertainment standpoint. Was I entertained? Yes, I liked it. That's all it is. But Man of Steel is the first film that really made me look at films from a technical and artistic standpoint to recognize what I'm seeing and how it was presented to me. And the first real film that I started to understand the directors, which is why I love it so much and why it always be my favorite because of what it did. So, like I said, going into this movie, my relationship with Superman was kind of love-hate. I love Superman because I know the acting is gonna be over the top because of what he can do. So I watched all the animated series. I bought comics. I watched the movies, even Lois and Clark on TNT. I watched all of that. But on the other side, I didn't really love Superman. I had a hate relationship because I'm like, why is it, for one, he always knows exactly what to do and say. I think that's unrealistic. And why is it the people just accept him as a savior when he's literally the most powerful being in the comic book world? You know, you got somebody like Batman, who people are definitely scared of, and you have Spider-Man, who people are also scared of. And these guys are both humans, and of course Spider-Man has a few more enhancements, but it's nothing to the level of Superman. And Batman's just a regular guy in a suit. So that aspect of it kind of made me be like, I never was attached to the character personally. So in comes Man of Steel. Dark Knight trilogy came and went, and Christopher Nolan was said that he was attached to a new Superman project that was going to be a more grounded take, and that kind of caught my attention. Like, grounded Superman? How are they going to do this? I'm interested. And first teaser drops, and I remember watching it. The first chunk of the trailer was just, wide shots of the farm, the city. They didn't really show anything Superman-esque, right? But that last little portion when they show Superman flying up and he and goes supersonic, I was like, whoa, whoa. So that pulled me in off bat. Fast forward, 2013, I'm in theaters, sitting there waiting like, okay, yes, I'm pumped. Open up with Krypton, and that just really opened my eyes like, wow, I never thought about what his world would be like, And again, every time I say, just the disclaimer, when I say that I haven't seen this done, it's just my perspective. I'm pretty sure it might be out there, but I personally didn't see it at the time because I stopped reading comics like really, really heavily after the 90s because the anime boom hit and we all kind of switched to that. So I didn't read a lot of like the newer stuff. I mean, I've read it since then, but back then I didn't read it. But anyway, so I want to put that disclaimer out there so nobody comes for me. But opening that idea of Krypton, it just blew me away. And the story continues, and I'm not going to just do a beat by beat review of everything, but just seeing different things, like showing Clark as a kid having to deal with his powers, and his father telling him things like, you're going to have to decide to be the man you want to be, and just explaining that you have a responsibility with all these powers. It's almost kind of how Spider-Man was, like, with great power comes great responsibility. But with Superman, that level of responsibility is up there because of what he can do and what he can stand for the people. I mean, showing him believing in his father and his father sacrificing himself just to keep his son safe. It really brought me a different, standpoint of Superman. Like, dang, he's saving people in the shadows at first because of what his father believes. And then Zod shows up and he has to come out and he really doesn't want to. He knows it's premature. Even him talking to like a preacher, it's just like, this is really on his mind a lot. And it shows the decision makings that he has to make and that he's not 100% sure all the time. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to save people, but he's trying to do what he wants to do. And that really brought the character down to the ground for me. And this movie made me love Superman. Even him having to kill Zod. Like, people look at it like, oh, Superman killed, like Zod was just some regular human being. No, this is another Kryptonian who wanted to destroy all life on Earth. So him having to do that, and then him letting out that scream, that's just like, and you can see his pain in his face. It just made me really care for Superman and the decisions he has to make, and how hard it is to be him, how hard it is for him to hear everything, how hard for him it is to try and save everybody. And it's something that I never really saw before seeing that movie, and it just made me a super character. It made me a super fan of the character, and that's just about the story beats. Oh man, this movie's cinematography is some of the most brilliant I've ever seen. From the camera work, from the shots, like, I'm literally in this movie just like this the entire time, no words. You ask my wife. Sometimes when we go to movies, I'll like kind of whisper stuff like, yeah, it's quiet, this movie, just because of how wide scale and beautiful it was. Like the scene, like just him walking in Alaska, and the screen is panning back, and you can see his silhouette with the sun. Like, oh, so gorgeous. And the color grading with it being kind of muted, that's kind of the first time that it stuck out to me as being, on the muted side. Because again, I've seen all of this stuff in films, but with them doing it with such an iconic and big character like Superman, who has powers and can fly around and do all this stuff, and to see them approach such a fantastical movie with such detail and artistry really caught me, and that's why this movie stuck out to me. And I was just like, wow, this is something I've never seen, like, that I can remember. This is making me point out stuff in the future. And we can't mention Man of Steel without mentioning the theme music. Oh, this score hit me right here. And again, I'm not knocking any other movie scores. There's some great ones, but this one is the one that I can remember that really hit me in the soul and like touched me, man, for real. First flight scene when he's flying around, and the score just carries and carries and carries, and it's just blaring, and he's flying and he's smiling while he's like, I remember being in theaters watching it and a tear shed, because I was just like, this is the first time I've ever like felt like this in a movie. Usually when you see it, from that point on, from that point, when I shed a tear in movies because something sad, like Pursuit of Happiness, really hit me, like the bathroom scene. But when it was motivational and good, I've never felt that way. But this one just was like, and so, and I say all that to say that this movie really made me appreciate filmmaking. So from that point on, when I watch movies, even when I go back and watch other movies, I watch it from still the audience standpoint. Like my first view of a movie is still like, I'm just a fanatic. But it also makes me appreciate what the filmmaker has done and what they tried to do with the movie. And Man of Steel forever changed my life. It's the reason why I am the rap nerd and why I'm into film and do these things that I am now. Zack Snyder's my favorite director. Man of Steel and Zack Snyder is the reason that I'm in this field. So I will forever love this movie, and I'll forever, ever hold it to such a high regard. So anyway, Man of Steel, favorite movie. Favorite comic book movie, one of my favorite movies of all time. I appreciate it. Thank you, Zack Snyder. I don't care if they never make one as powerful as this movie. We have Man of Steel, and I will forever love it. Anyway, wrapping us out. Peace.